Breaking news! Arsenal has received a new sign of optimism that a world-class striker might be willing to join the club next summer. However, Paul Merson warned that the team could face difficulties in the derby against Tottenham, especially after a recent major disappointment. Meanwhile, Arsenal fans are all saying the same thing about Martin Odegaard, with many praising his impact on the team and his leadership on the field. Stay with me until the end of the video to check out the latest Arsenal news straight from the Emirates Stadium. But before that, if you're as passionate about Arsenal as we are, don't waste any time and subscribe to our channel right now to stay updated on everything happening with the greatest team in the Premier League. And without further ado, let's dive into today's top news. Arsenal wrapped up their summer transfer window with 2 late signings, but many fans felt more could have been done to address key areas. After 2 seasons of pushing Manchester City for the Premier League title, Mikel Arteta's squad is aiming to make it third time lucky. However, with just 4 new arrivals over the summer, one being a backup goalkeeper, there are still concerns about the squad's depth, especially in attack. Gabriel Jesus is sidelined with an injury yet again, leaving Arsenal's forward options stretched thin, which raises questions about whether they did enough to strengthen for a serious title challenge. These early season issues could lead to Arsenal already starting to plan for next summer's transfer window, with the hope of bringing in more firepower to close the gap on Manchester City. But that's not all. Paul Merson is already making bold predictions about the upcoming North London derby, even questioning whether Arsenal can overcome the absences of Declan Rice and Mikel Merson to maintain their winning streak against Tottenham. We'll dive into this topic later in the video, so stay tuned until the end to find out what the journalist revealed about the next North London derby. Raheem Sterling might be thrilled to have joined Arsenal, but at 29, he's not seen as a long-term solution for the Gunners. While there was plenty of chatter about Arsenal bringing in a big-name striker like Victor Osimhen, they ultimately didn't land such a signing this summer. Looking ahead, next summer could be when Arsenal makes serious moves to reignite their interest in Athletic Bilbao's exciting winger, Nico Williams. The 21-year-old has been on Arsenal's radar, and his pace, creativity, and ability to play on either wing make him a perfect fit for Arteta's attacking setup. According to Give Me Sport, Arsenal have received a fresh boost in their pursuit of Nico Williams for next summer. After a standout Euro 2024 performance, the Spanish winger decided to stay at his boyhood club, Athletic Bilbao, despite interest from both Arsenal and Barcelona. While Williams opted to remain in the Basque Country for another season, he hasn't ruled out the possibility of joining Arsenal in the future. The Gunners are aware they might face stiff competition from Barcelona, but the door for a potential move to North London remains open. Arsenal needed a star forward signing this summer. Arsenal made solid moves this summer by signing Ricardo Calafiori and Mikel Merson, strengthening their defense and midfield. However, the one area where they really needed reinforcements up front was left unaddressed. A big-name striker like Victor Osimhen or Victor Gyökeres, whom Arsenal were interested in, would have made a significant difference. Even landing a world-class winger like Nico Williams would have been a huge statement, especially after his impressive goal-scoring displays at Euro 2024. The failure to bring in such an attacking threat leaves questions about Arsenal's firepower heading into the season. Paul Merson is already gearing up for the North London derby, with Arsenal set to face Spurs after the international break. The Gunners will head to N17, aiming to bounce back from their disappointing draw against Brighton at the Emirates. Despite Arsenal's solid record at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium over the past 2 seasons, there are some lingering doubts. Mikel Arteta's side will want to make a statement, but with a few key concerns hanging over the squad, the derby promises to be a tough challenge. Paul Merson shares North London derby verdict. A host of Arteta's players are currently on international duty, although their minds won't be far from the upcoming duel against Tottenham. Games don't come much bigger than the North London derby for both Arsenal and Spurs, who will be raring to go to battle next weekend. Arsenal have won on their previous 2 visits to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. However, Paul Merson doubts that the Gunners will have another easy ride. I was very bullish last time, turned up and thought Arsenal are going to win this game. I ain't sure this time. Merson explained to Sky Sports, Declan Rice is a big miss. I think it's a big 2 games for Arsenal coming up. If they don't get at least 4 points, they're right up against it. A big football match. Declan Rice's controversial red card against Brighton has caused quite a stir, and it means he'll miss the North London derby. The decision has divided fans and pundits alike, leaving Arsenal without one of their key players for the big clash. Adding to Mikel Arteta's selection headache, Mikel Merson will also be unavailable, which puts the Gunners in a a tricky spot when it comes to midfield options. Arteta will need to get creative with his lineup as he prepares for one of the biggest games of the season. Arsenal must be wary of Tottenham's threat. Paul Merson has warned Arsenal not to take Spurs lightly ahead of the North London derby, even though Tottenham haven't had the strongest start to the season, with just 1 win, 1 draw, and 1 defeat from their first 3 Premier League games. Merson believes there's more to come from Ange Postecoglou's side. He highlighted their first half performance against Leicester, where Tottenham were particularly strong, and warned Arsenal that this match will be a tricky one. Despite the challenges, Merson sees potential pitfalls if Arsenal underestimate their rivals, with Declan Rice and Mikel Merino both unavailable. Arteta faces a tough test, not only in squad selection but also in maintaining momentum. The stakes are high, with 3 points and bragging rights on the line. Arteta will need to outthink Spurs tactically, making the right moves to bring the victory home from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Arsenal fans call for Martin Odegaard to be withdrawn from international duty. Martin Odegaard has joined the Norwegian national team carrying a new injury, separate from the one he picked up against Brighton, which had already impacted his performance. With this new setback, Norway's manager Ståle Solbakken revealed Odegaard's fitness issues. Arsenal fans, concerned about their captain's condition, have been vocal on social media, urging Mikel Arteta to request his early return from international duty to prevent further aggravation. The situation adds to Arteta's challenges as he prepares for the crucial North London derby. Come on, other players get ill and they come home. You have to recall him. We have no backup. One supporter said, "This doesn't sound good, bring him back to England as possible," with another agreeing, "Knock, time to withdraw. Get him back immediately," one fan said as they went on to compare Arsenal's stance on the international break compared to their Premier League title rivals. "We have to pull our players out of pointless international games if we're serious." The debate about players withdrawing from international duties is heating up, especially with Manchester City pulling Phil Foden from England's fixtures due to an illness that some fans are skeptical about. One Arsenal fan expressed frustration, suggesting that sometimes being too honest doesn't benefit a team, as competitors often bend the rules to have their players ready for crucial games. Another fan echoed this sentiment, lamenting that playing by the rules could be costing Arsenal, especially when it comes to competing for major titles and tournaments. The sentiment reflects a growing impatience among fans who feel that tactical decisions and strategic withdrawals could make a significant difference in the club's success. The severity of Odegaard's injury is not known, however. Arsenal fans have heard enough to suggest that Arteta must recall the club captain. It's a fair point from the supporters, who have their minds fixed on the abundance of difficult fixtures that await the Gunners after the break. The challenges don't stop after the North London derby, with an away trip to Manchester City coming soon after and Champions League action also returning. Now would be the worst time for another member of Arteta's squad to suffer an injury, giving Arteta added incentive to perhaps follow Guardiola's method of plucking his key stars away from the international stage. Well folks, those were the main news for today. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated on everything happening with our beloved team, you know what to do. Subscribe to the channel now and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any updates. Thanks for joining us, and until the next video.